The smell of bleach and stale sweat clung to the cracked tile floors of the abandoned warehouse. Flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting weak, trembling shadows that barely reached the corners. I paused by the rusted mop bucket, my hands trembling slightly as I gripped the worn handle. It had been years since I held anything heavier than a mop, yet tonight, the weight of those memories pressed down on me like the grime under my fingernails. The cold concrete beneath my worn boots seemed to mirror the chill settling deep inside my chest. I wiped a bead of sweat from my brow, even though the night air was frigid. It wasn't the temperature. It was the way the silence screamed in my ears, the kind of silence that held secrets and sometimes danger. I could hear the faint echoes of laughter drifting from the other side of the warehouse. The voices were rough, sharp, filled with mockery. A cartel crew, no doubt, young, reckless, and full of venom. They had no idea who I was or what I carried beneath this janitor's disguise. Maybe if they did, they wouldn't be so quick to laugh. I thought about the Delta Force medal tucked beneath my shirt. Cold, heavy, real. It was more than just a piece of metal. It was a reminder of a life I'd left behind, a life full of battles, loss, and honor. But here I was now, reduced to scrubbing floors for a paycheck that barely covered my bills, while ghosts of my past whispered louder than the present. I clenched my jaw. The medal was buried deep, not just beneath my clothes, but beneath layers of regret and faded pride. I had told myself 1,000 times that this was the price of survival, that some stories were better left untold. But those cartel brats, they were about to learn that the past has a way of catching up. A sudden clang made me jump, a metal pipe falling somewhere near the far wall. The laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by the tense murmurs of men sizing each other up. I stayed, frozen, heart hammering, breath shallow. Was this the moment they'd decide to turn their mockery into something worse? I let my mind wander back to a desert heat so fierce it seemed to burn the very soul. The roar of helicopters, the crack of gunfire, the smell of sweat and sand mingling with fear. Faces of comrades lost, names I still carried with me like sacred prayers. I was a soldier once, a Delta Force operator, trained for the worst missions, for impossible odds. I had faced death more times than I could count, but nothing had prepared me for the battles I fought now, battles within myself. I took a slow breath and forced my hands to steady. The mop was my weapon tonight, and if they thought they could intimidate me with laughter and sneers, they were dead wrong. I was tired. I was worn. But beneath this janitor's coat beat the heart of a warrior. The tension coiled tighter as footsteps approached, heavy and confident. The scent of cheap liquor and cigarette smoke hit me, signs of the cartel's careless arrogance. I wiped my palms on my pants, ready to face whatever they thought they could throw at me. One of them stepped into the flickering light, young, cocky, smirking as if I was nothing but a joke. "Hey, old man," he sneered. "What are you doing here, cleaning up after us? Shouldn't you be taking a nap or something?" The others laughed harder, their voices like knives cutting through the thick air. But I didn't flinch. I looked him dead in the eye, feeling the weight of every battle etched in my stare. "You think this is a joke?" I said quietly, my voice calm but firm. "You don't know who you're messing with." They laughed again, louder this time, like I was some relic from another world. But the laugh died in their throats when I pulled my shirt aside, just enough to flash the Delta Force medal pinned to my chest. The room fell silent. The mocking eyes flickered with something else, respect, fear, maybe a hint of disbelief, and, in that moment, the old janitor was no longer just a man cleaning floors. He was a soldier, a fighter, a force they had underestimated at their own peril. The moment I revealed my Delta Force medal, the laughter drained from their faces like blood from a wound. Silence wrapped around the warehouse, thick and heavy, broken only by the creak of a shifting metal crate. But respect was fragile among these men, loyalty even more so. "Delta Force, huh?" the young man said, his voice low now, still hiding a sneer, but with a new edge of caution. "Funny how you ended up here cleaning floors for us." I said nothing. Words were cheap, actions were everything. They circled me, like predators assessing a wounded animal. I could feel their eyes digging beneath the surface, hunting for weakness, for a sign of the man I once was. A relic, a ghost, something to mock. or maybe to fear. I kept my grip firm on the mop handle, but my mind raced back to the people I'd trusted. The team, brothers in arms who'd bled together in foreign lands. We shared a bond forged in the crucible of combat, a bond I thought unbreakable, but even then, cracks had formed, small betrayals hidden beneath camaraderie like termites, gnawing at a foundation. One man I once trusted more than a brother had crossed the line, trading secrets for money, a deal that cost lives. I'd never forgiven him. The sting of that betrayal still burned inside me, sharper than any bullet wound, and now here in the shadows of this cartel den, I saw the same poison spreading. The cartel wasn't just a gang of thugs, they were master manipulators, expert at exploiting weakness. They thrived on broken trust and fractured loyalty. I had to be careful. Every word, every glance could turn friend into foe. Carlos, the cartel's second-in-command, stepped forward. His dark eyes flicked over me like a hawk sizing up prey. "You're hiding something, old man," he said quietly. "Not just your past, something else." I met his gaze steadily, refusing to blink. "I'm here because I have to be. But don't mistake my silence for weakness." A bitter laugh escaped him. "You think we don't know why you're really here, to spy, to gather dirt, to take us down?" I shook my head. "I'm just a janitor." The cartel laughed again, but this time it was uneasy, like a pack unsure of their own strength. That night, as I mopped the floor, my thoughts drifted to Maria. She was the only one who still believed in me. Or maybe she just believed in what I could be. Maria was the warehouse supervisor, sharp and tough as nails, but with a heart buried under years of pain. She trusted me, or at least she pretended to. I wasn't sure which scared me more. Maria had secrets, too. I could see the way she flinched when Carlos's name was mentioned, the stolen glances when others weren't looking. I wanted to ask her, to pull her close and demand the truth. But I was tired of being the soldier who fought everyone's battles, but his own. Late one night, the tension exploded. I was locking up when I heard whispers just beyond the cracked door. Voices low and urgent, heavy with betrayal. Peering through the sliver of glass, I saw Maria talking with a man I didn't recognize. His face was hard and cold, with eyes that cut like knives. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man nodded. "The boss wants you to keep an eye on him. If he's a threat, we take him out." My heart stopped. Maria was spying on me. I wanted to storm out, confront her with fury and betrayal, but I stayed silent. I had no room for anger. Not yet. I had to understand why. The next day, Maria's eyes met mine. There was no warmth there, only something. Guarded, distant. She handed me a rag and said, "Clean up the West Wing and don't ask questions." I nodded, swallowing the lump of sorrow rising in my throat. Trust shattered like glass between us. That evening, Carlos pulled me aside. "You think you're better than us," he sneered. "That medal means nothing here." I clenched my fists. "It means everything." "Then prove it," he spat. "Show us you're not just a washed-up soldier clinging to ghosts." His words were a challenge, a threat wrapped in disdain. But it was more than that. I could feel the cartel's simmering anger, their fear of a man they didn't understand. I wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. I was fighting to reclaim my honor, and to expose the betrayals that ran deeper than any bullet wound. The following days blurred into a tense dance of power plays and uneasy alliances. I watched Maria carefully, searching for cracks, for clues to her true allegiance. Every smile felt like a lie, every glance a hidden blade. One night, as the cartel gathered in the main hall, I caught a whispered conversation between Carlos and a shadowy figure I'd never seen before. Their words were cold and calculating. "Once the old man is gone," Carlos said, "we'll have no loose ends. Maria's on our side. She's the key." My blood ran cold. Maria was the cartel's pawn, sent to break me from the inside. That night, as I lay on the cold floor staring at the peeling paint above, anger bubbled beneath my skin. The betrayal cut deep, not just from the cartel, but from someone I had come to trust. But beneath the rage was something stronger, a fire igniting. I was no longer the forgotten janitor. I was a soldier ready to fight, Because in a world ruled by lies and betrayal, sometimes the only way to survive is to become the last man standing. The warehouse was thick with shadows, every creak and drip amplified in the silence. My heart pounded against my ribs like a war drum, each beat echoing the dread tightening in my chest. Tonight, everything would change. I could feel it, like the calm before a storm ready to rip through the fragile web of trust and deception. I'd been careful, patient, watching the cartel's movements, studying Maria's guarded behavior, and waiting for the right moment to act. But nothing had prepared me for the knife that would come not from outside, but from within. The plan was simple, or so I thought. I'd gather proof, expose the cartel's operations, and maybe finally free myself from this hell. But when Carlos called me to the back room, I knew something was wrong. His dark eyes glinted with something cold, something triumphant. As I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me with a deafening finality. The faint hum of the fluorescent light flickered overhead, casting harsh lines across Carlos's smirking face. But it wasn't just him. There was another figure leaning casually against a crate, someone I never expected to see again. The man's face was familiar, carved into my memories like a scar. It was the traitor from my old Delta Force unit, the one who had betrayed, sought for money, for power, the one I thought I'd left behind buried under years of bitterness and regret. "Surprised to see me?" he asked, voice dripping with mockery. My mouth went dry. The blood drained from my face as the past collided violently with the present. Carlos laughed, a dark, cruel sound. "Thought you could hide here, old man. Your past just caught up with you." The room seemed to close in, the stale air thick, with betrayal and deceit. The man stepped forward, pulling something from his coat, a thin envelope heavy with the weight of treachery. He tossed it on the table between us. "Proof," he said simply. "You've been playing both sides, haven't you? The janitor and the soldier? It's time to decide." I stared at the envelope, the bitter taste of betrayal flooding my senses. Every instinct screamed to fight, to lash out. But something else, a deeper pain, knotted my stomach. This was more than a threat. This was the shattering of everything I believed. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Maria slipped inside, eyes wide but steady. She looked at me, not with warmth but with a hard, cold resolve. "I told you to stay out of this," she said quietly. I searched her face for the friend I thought I knew, but all I found was a stranger who'd chosen a side. Carlos gestured toward the door. "Time to choose, old man. Will you stand with us, or will you fall alone?" The silence that followed was deafening. I felt the weight of the medal under my shirt, the symbol of every battle I'd fought, every brother I'd lost. But now, that symbol felt like a chain, binding me to a past I could no longer escape. In that moment, the truth crashed down on me like a tidal wave. The real betrayal wasn't just the cartel, or the traitor, or even Maria. It was the illusion I'd been living, the belief that I could outrun my past, that I could still be the man I once was. I looked at the medal, then at the faces around me, and I realized something profound. Survival wasn't about fighting the past. It was about accepting it, using it, becoming something new. Slowly, I reached into the envelope and pulled out the papers inside, photographs, documents, names, evidence of the cartel's inner workings, but also something else. Hidden beneath the lies were cracks in their armor, vulnerabilities I could exploit. "I'm not your enemy," I said, voice steady now, "but I'm not your pawn either." Carlos's smirk faltered. The traitor's eyes narrowed. Maria's expression shifted, conflicted, as if she was battling a storm inside. The tension exploded in a heartbeat. Guns appeared from nowhere, aimed at me, but I was faster. Years of training kicked in, muscle memory taking over. I dodged, twisted, disarmed, fighting not just for my life, but for the chance to rewrite the ending. The warehouse erupted into chaos, shouts, gunfire, the clash of metal. But amid the violence, something deeper stirred inside me. A reckoning, a reclaiming of honor. When the dust settled, I stood alone, breathing hard, the medal gleaming faintly against my chest. The betrayal had broken me, but it hadn't destroyed me, and in the shattered silence I understood the final truth. Sometimes, The greatest battles are the ones we fight within ourselves, and winning means facing the darkness head-on. The warehouse was quiet now, the echoes of gunfire replaced by a heavy stillness that settled deep into my bones. The dust hung thick in the air, mingling with the faint scent of sweat, gunpowder, and something else. Something bitter, like regret. I sank down, onto an overturned crate, my hands trembling as I touched the Delta Force medal beneath my shirt. It felt heavier than ever, a weight not just of metal but of memory and loss. Around me the shadows seemed to stretch longer, as if the ghosts of my past were gathering close to watch what would come next. Maria was gone. Whether she fled or was taken, I didn't know, and maybe I didn't want to. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound, not just because she'd deceived me, but because I'd wanted to believe in her, wanted to trust. That's the cruelest part of all, the hope that blinds you. I let out a slow breath, my mind racing back through every moment that led here. The laughter, the sneers, the hidden glances and whispered threats. Each one had been a thread in a tangled web of loyalty and lies. I'd thought my medal meant something, that it marked me as a man of honor, a protector. But honor isn't something you wear, it's something you live or fail to. It's forged in the choices you make when no one's watching. And tonight I realized how fragile that is. The cartel had underestimated me, yes, but I'd underestimated myself. For years I carried the weight of my past like armor, not seeing how it had hardened me into something brittle, something broken. Now, with the dust settling and the silence pressing in, I saw clearly. Survival isn't about holding on to who you were. It's about becoming who you must be. I glanced down at the medal again, tracing its cool surface with a finger. It was a reminder, not just of battles fought overseas, but of the battles still raging inside me. In the quiet that followed, I wondered about the men I'd left behind, the brothers I lost to betrayal and war. What would they think if they could see me now caught in a different kind of fight? Maybe they'd say I was still fighting the right fight, just on a different battlefield. Maybe they'd say I was stronger for it, or maybe they'd just want me to find peace. I don't have all the answers. I don't even know if peace is possible after everything. But I know this. Life is messy, people are messy, and sometimes the lines between friend and foe, right and wrong, blur into shades of grey. It's easy to judge from the outside, to see the betrayal and the violence and call it simple. But the truth is never that simple. It's complicated, like the man who cleans floors by day and carries medals by night, like the woman who smiles but hides secrets, like the shadows that conceal both danger and hope. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Don't be so quick to laugh at someone's past or their scars. You never know what battles they've fought, or the strength it took just to stand where they are. Because sometimes the greatest courage isn't in the fight itself, but in surviving the aftermath and choosing to keep going. I stood up slowly, the medal heavy against my chest. Outside, the sun was beginning to rise, casting pale light over the broken warehouse and the city beyond. The fight wasn't over, not yet. But I was still here, still breathing, still fighting, and maybe, just maybe that was enough for now. Enough for now.